Hey everyone, welcome to Lost Connection Tarot. My name is Benjamin Snavely, and this is episode 13 for my brand new series, What Message Do I Need to Hear Right Now? Now, this episode's question is all about holding on to secrets, and it's been too long, and now you need to release it because it feels like a burden. So, the question basically is I've held on to this secret for far too long. How do I release this burden? Okay, so we will be doing a 4 card spread. The issue, why this is an issue now, the challenge that is presented, the opportunity, and then the most likely outcome. So today I will be using the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot by Matt Hughes. Okay. And let's go ahead and do this. So, what message do I need to hear right now? Episode 13. I have held on to this secret for far too long. How do I release this burden? What is the issue? What is the challenge? What is the opportunity? And what is the most likely outcome for anyone listening to this message and can vibe with its question? So, what are the consequences to the person listening for holding on to a secret far too long, and how do they release this burden? What is the issue? What is the challenge? What is the opportunity? And what is the result? Okay, issue, challenge, opportunity, result. Okay. So, issue. Changed circumstance, possibly. Okay. So, you have the Four of Pentacles in reverse for the issue. So if we're going back to the question, I have held on to this secret for far too long. How do I release this burden? The issue is you are the Four of Pentacles. Okay, so Pentacles represent material things. It represents our body, our health, our career, our finances, all of the items that we own, so on and so forth, right? If you can hold it, then it's a pentacle. Okay, so at the Four, we have stability, structure, a foundation. So we are living in a house with all these things that we care about. It feels good. It's nice. But we also feel like we have a routine and we have habits, and we're kind of solidified also into those habits. And any kind of change in those habits, we don't feel secure anymore. We don't feel like we have a foundation. So the idea that we haven't changed our furniture, or we haven't bought new things, or the idea that we don't want to move out of the house because it has so many memories, so on and so forth. It's the idea of liking something and enjoying it, but almost to a negative degree, where it starts to become your identity. And then because it's your identity, you don't know how to release yourself from it. You don't know how to stand separate from this thing, because now you identify with this house, you identify with this job, you identify with this routine of coming home, cooking dinner, going on a walk, and watching TV until you go to bed, and then you repeat it all over again. So with it being reversed, it's the idea of starting to recognize these habits, these routines, and starting to take action, conscious action, in changing those habits, in changing those routines, and creating new structures and new things that make you feel like you have a foundation, and new ways to feel secure in our life. So it could just simply mean moving. It could simply mean creating a workout routine that you stick. It could be meal planning or meal prepping, right? It could be, deciding to homeschool your kid, or taking that job, a different job, or something. There's just so many ways to look at it. But the Four of Pentacles reverse simply means you recognize that you're feeling stagnant. You're recognizing that there needs to be change. And so you're starting to put new things in place to change that habit, to change those routines. And it may shake up the structure of your life. It may make you feel a little bit more anxious, a little bit more uneasy, because things aren't as comfortable as they were. Things aren't as stable or as secure as you once knew them. And so it's a little erratic. It's a little bit chaotic at times. It's a little bit scary, right? Because you're messing with your foundation, something that you have built and worked hard to build. But just with anything, we always outgrow anything that we build, because the second you build it, it becomes static and it can't change. But we do change. And so eventually we outgrow the things that we build, and we have to grow new things. We have to build new things. But if not, we just feel confined if we stick to these old ideas, these old structures, this old way of living. Then we become the routine instead of vice versa. So that is the issue, right? You're it may not feel like a good time. It may feel like you've held on to this burden, and you want to release it. But the issue is that you're going through this transition period. You're going through changing all of these other things in your life, maybe to just to change things up, to see if that is the issue, right? And who knows? But the issue specifically is things are changing in your life, and you are you are responding to it, and as good as you possibly can. Okay, so let's move on to the challenge. So the challenge, and it does, now looking at it, it does seem like this is happening to you, because your challenge is the Five of Pentacles, and so it's going in transition from 4 to 5. So because you recognize that this structure was confining you, you are starting to change it. Well, that leads to things blowing up. Okay, it leads to the rug coming out from under your feet, you losing your job, you getting kicked out of your house, your apartment. It's basically hitting a type of spiritual rock bottom. And the reason it's a spiritual poverty is because you thought that all of those things in the world, in the material world, you thought your job is what made you happy. You thought status is why people liked you. It's why the toys that you had were to impress other people. And now all of those things are taken away, right? And you're like, who am I? What do I stand for? And you're coming to grips that all of these things, all of these tangible things, jobs, career, status, toys, body image, all of that was for the outside world, but it wasn't necessarily for you. And it's not necessarily what your spirit wanted for you. It of course wants you to be healthy, and of course it wants you to be successful, but it doesn't want you to go out in that direction or to do those things to achieve whatever it is it wants you to achieve. So instead, what's going to happen is you're going to go through this type of spiritual poverty, where these things are no longer going to please you. They're no longer going to be there for you. You're no longer going to be able to depend on these things to give you power or status, or to make you feel good, or to look good, or whatever. And so what happens is you go rock bottom, and you go into yourself. And you're like, help me, who am I? And you're searching for help, but you're searching in all the wrong places, right? Because you're searching outside of yourself. And what you really need to do is you need to go within, and you need to hear the voice of reason. You need to hear your spiritual self. And that is quieting the ego. Now, how do you quiet the ego? How do you quiet the mind? You let it run. You don't try to control it. because you're not in control. You just simply let it run. It's like a kid who just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, and you let it happen, right? You just simply just don't give it any credence. You don't give it any attention, especially if it's doing behavior you don't want. Just like a child, you don't recognize bad behavior. You're trying to change it into good behavior. And so with your mind, you just simply let it be. And eventually it'll recognize that it's not getting your attention, right? Because that's not what you're paying attention to, and it will change itself. And instead, what you're trying to do is you're trying to simply hear the truth from within. And by letting your mind run its own course, eventually you will be able to move past that static, that frequency, that noise, and you'll actually start hearing and vibing on your own frequency, on your own level. And it's not like it's not like it's gonna talk to you. It's gonna kind of like bubble up and emanate from you, and you're just gonna know intuitively, I should do this, or I should go in that direction, or I should talk to that person, or whatever. It's listening to your intuition and listening to what feels good and what sounds good. And it's not here. It's not your mind saying, "Oh, this makes me feel better." No, that's a short-term solution. We're done with short-term solutions because those don't give us fulfillment. We are now going to spend time doing long-term fulfillment. And we're going to delay gratification because we recognize that's for the best. Anything that gives you instant gratification is kind of like a drug. You just do it over and over and over until it lessens, and that's why you do it more and more and more until eventually you abuse it or become addicted to it. And that's not what we want. So this is your challenge, okay? And this is hard card. I mean, it's very hard, especially if you're an atheist, especially if you don't believe in religion, especially if you just think all of this is hogwash, right? And especially if your mind is just going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's because of society. That's because of social conditioning. That's because there's just so much information out there that you think this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in this realm doing these things that society and life wants me to do. The idea of sitting, the idea of being silent, the idea of being idle is not looked happily upon Western culture and society. If you're not doing something, then you're called a bum, you're called idle, you're called lazy, right? But how can we hear ourselves if we're constantly moving, if we're constantly doing something, if we're constantly listening to music, or on our phones, or consuming any type of information or technology? How would we ever have the opportunity to understand and hear ourselves if we do not stop every type of stimuli that is external to us? Stop putting our focus into distractions and actually sit with ourselves. Why do we distract ourselves? Because we don't like to be up here in our mind. We don't like our thoughts. We don't like this because we don't know how to control it. And that's when I'm telling you, you don't control it. You let it go. Okay? When you let it go, that's when things start happening in your life. Stop trying to control, okay? You went out and got the job. You went out and made the money. You went out and got the beautiful man or woman. You got the house. You got all of those things, and they didn't fulfill you. Stop trying to control and start being led. And the only way you can be led is if you start listening to yourself. And the only way you can start listening to yourself is when you admit that you don't know shit and that you're not going to get any answer from here in your intellect. It's all gonna come up from within. So sit quietly, breathe deeply, be patient, and don't try to force or control anything. Good things will happen. In fact, your opportunity is that you will get a gift of spirit. Okay, so the Ace of Wands Aces are gifts from the universe. That's why you see a hand basically just coming out of nowhere. And then wands represent fire. They represent our spirit. They represent our intuition. They represent our willpower, the energy that drives us forward, right? And so you can almost think of it as like connecting to source. Okay, your actual source. So if you meet your challenge, okay, of recognizing everything outside of you has not fulfilled you, and that you're gonna actually try to find out the truth by listening and not controlling, then over time, eventually, this will be your opportunity. You will be able to basically meet your spirit, your passion, and what it will do is it will awaken you. And that's what fire does, right? It burns us, it drives us, it gives us illumination, right? We see with clarity now. So your opportunity is the idea that you're going to recognize and feel your spirit, and it's going to say, hey, this is just the beginning. This is something new, and like any type of thing, you have to put right actions, right thought, right patience, right temperance, all of this right actions towards this. And you have to nurture it. It's like a baby. And you have to water it, and you can't overwater it, and you have to pay attention to it, and you have to be considerate of it, and you have to be emotionally available to all these things, and you have to constantly listen and not let your ego take over and say, oh, I got it, don't worry, I know where we're going. No, you don't know where you're going because you've never been there before. Okay, so your ego can't drive, right? So this is your opportunity, a gift from the universe, where you're basically going to your spirit, your passion is going to be reignited, and it's going to drive you somewhere new. Okay, and then your most likely result is another ace. This time it's the Ace of Swords, and swords do represent our intellect. They do represent our reason and our logic. Okay, and so your result, your most likely outcome, is now you can intellectually use what you heard spiritually. So what you gained and what you intuitively found inside of yourself, that little spirit, that little spark, that little passion, that little drive to be more than, right? You can now bring it into your intellect, and now your intellect says, oh, okay, we're doing this now. Oh, at this capacity, at this speed, and we're going in this direction. And here's the reason why. And now your brain can get in tandem with your spirit, and now you can effectively move your body forward and logically make sense of what you're doing, because you have listened to your inner self, and now your brain comprehends the message as well. So that's very nice, because not only are you going to be able to find yourself and hear its message, you're going to be able to feel the message. And then once you feel the message, then you can intuitively make logical sense of what just happened. And now you can start going in this new direction that that is going to take you to new horizons. And it's all because you wanted to finally release this secret that had been weighing on you, and you recognized it's just, I can't live this life anymore. And that's the Four of Pentacles. It's, I don't feel secure. My foundation is crumbling. I don't want to do this again. My habits and my routines have been eating me alive, and I know there's something better out there. Okay, but it's not all of these other things. It's not a new job. It's not new money. It's not any of this stuff. And so I need to sit and listen to figure out what it is. I hear this voice, this calling, and it emanates from inside of me. And now that I hear this inside voice, I can now logically put my feet one step in front of the other, going in this new direction, and I can make sense of it. That is a beautiful message, and I hope it hits all the right frequencies with you. And I hope that you do something positive with this message and you continue to grow. And please drop a line. Let me know what you thought. If you like what you heard, I have other daily videos. I have other episodes. I'm going to start a new series. My name is Benjamin Snavely. This is Lost Connection Tarot. If you would like a private reading, you can find my calendar at the YouTube channel homepage. You can check me out on Instagram at Lost Connection Tarot. You can check us out at Facebook, join the community, also Lost Connection Tarot. At the end of the day, we're trying to reconnect and we're trying to find that connection that we have lost. And that is my goal here at Lost Connection Tarot. And yeah, that's it. I'm done. Have a great day, everybody. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.